It was 6:47 p.m. when I noticed the perfume. It wasn't the scent she usually wore, the soft vanilla I bought her on our 5th anniversary, but something sharper, floral, the kind of smell that announces itself before the person even walks in. It lingered in the hallway, clinging to the air, and for a moment I just stood there, listening to the quiet hum of our house. Then I heard it, the click of her heels on the tiles. Going somewhere? I asked, my voice steady, though my hands had begun to tremble. Emily froze halfway down the hall. Her hair was curled perfectly, her lips a deep red I hadn't seen in months. The silver dress shimmered under the dim light, hugging her the way my arms used to. She looked breathtaking and distant. "Oh, hey," she said, feigning casualness, grabbing her purse. "Just, meeting Mia for dinner. Girls' night." I smiled faintly. "Mia, huh? The one who moved to Chicago last month." For a second her face faltered, just a flicker, but I saw it. A crack in her performance. Then she laughed lightly, waving her hand. "Right, I meant Jenna. I'm sorry, it's been a long week." I nodded slowly, eyes scanning her from head to toe. Everything about her screamed effort. The kind she hadn't made for me in months. There was a time she would have dressed like that for me. Back when Friday nights meant wine, laughter, and quiet talks on the balcony. Now, Friday nights were her self-care evenings. I never questioned it before. Maybe because I didn't want to. But tonight felt different. Something inside me whispered, "This is it." I reached into my pocket and pulled out her car keys, tossing them lightly toward her. "Take mine," I said. "Yours has that weird tire pressure issue." She blinked. "No, it's fine, really. Humor me." Our eyes met, hers searching, mine unreadable. Finally, she took the keys, muttered a thanks, and left. The moment the door clicked shut, I felt my chest tighten. I wasn't angry. Not yet. Just hollow. 10 minutes later, I opened my phone and tapped the app I'd installed 2 weeks ago, one that linked to a small GPS tracker I'd slipped into her car keychain. I had told myself I was being paranoid, but deep down I knew. You don't check your spouse's location unless something inside you already knows they're gone. The little blue dot blinked to life. She wasn't heading toward downtown where Jenna lived. She was driving north, toward the Lakeside District. The place with the fancy restaurants. The kind you reserve in advance. The kind meant for two. Followed. Not because I wanted a scene. I didn't want to catch her red-handed, to throw accusations. I just needed the truth. Something undeniable, something I could no longer gaslight myself out of. 20 minutes later I parked 2 blocks away from Verona, a place we'd been to once years ago. She'd said it was too romantic for her taste back then. Funny. Through the restaurant's large windows, I spotted her almost instantly. She sat near the window, laughing softly. Across from her, a man leaned forward, his hand brushing hers. I couldn't see his face clearly, but it didn't matter. The way she looked at him, eyes bright, full of life, that was enough. I stood outside for a long time, my reflection staring back at me in the glass. I didn't even feel the cold. Just watched. When she reached across the table and took his hand fully, something inside me cracked quietly. Not a shatter. Just a slow, painful break like glass under heat. I didn't go in. I didn't call her name. Instead I took a deep breath, turned around and walked back to my car. When she came home later that night, it was nearly midnight. Her heels clicked softly against the floor, slower this time. I was sitting on the couch, lights dim, TV off. Just waiting. She froze when she saw me. "Oh, hey, you're still up." He nodded. "How was dinner?" She smiled too quickly. "Good. Jenna's been going through a rough patch, you know? We just needed some time to talk." I met her gaze evenly. "You must have helped a lot," I said. "You looked happy." For a second her breath caught. "What do you mean?" I leaned back, arms crossed, and simply said, "Good luck on your date." The words hung in the air like a slow knife twisting. Her face drained of color. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. And tears. Real ones. The kind that fall before the brain can invent excuses. "Daniel, please," she started. Don't, I said quietly. Not tonight. Her knees buckled and she sat down across from me. The room felt too small for both of us. I didn't mean for it to happen, she whispered. It was just, he listened, you know? You've been so distant lately, and I laughed bitterly. So it's my fault. No. I felt invisible and he made you feel seen. I finished for her. Classic. She buried her face in her hands, sobbing. But I didn't move. I didn't comfort her. I'd spent too long holding her through lies, through the distance I didn't understand. When she finally looked up, her mascara streaked down her cheeks. Daniel, please, it didn't mean anything. It's over, I swear. I stared at her for a long moment. Then why do you look more alive with him than you have with me in months? She said nothing. Just silence, heavy and suffocating. I stood up. You know the saddest part, I said softly. I wasn't even surprised. Somewhere deep down, I've been waiting for this. That night, I didn't sleep in our bed. I sat on the couch, watching the city lights through the window. Memories replayed in my head like an old film. Her laughter in the kitchen, her sleepy goodnights, her promises that we were solid. By morning, the numbness had replaced the anger. She came down, eyes red, wearing one of my hoodies like she always did when she wanted to soften me. Daniel, she said softly. Can we talk? I looked up tired. About what? The details. I think I saw enough. She sat across from me, twisting her fingers. It was one dinner. One mistake. Swear. I didn't. Didn't what? Cut in. Didn't plan to get caught. She flinched. I was confused. You've been so far away. Ever since your dad died, you shut me out. I needed someone. Her words hit harder than I expected. Maybe because there was truth buried in them. Had shut down. I thought I was protecting her from my grief, but maybe I was just building walls she eventually walked around. Still, betrayal is betrayal. I exhaled slowly. You could have talked to me. Instead, you found someone who made you feel better for a few hours. And now you want me to believe it was a mistake. I love you, she whispered. I looked at her, really looked. And for the first time I realized I didn't know what that word meant anymore. Love doesn't look like that, I said quietly. Weeks passed. We tried therapy. She apologized 100 times. I said I forgave her, but I didn't. Not really. I tried to. But every time she smiled, I wondered if that same smile had been shared with someone else. Trust is fragile that way. Once it cracks, no amount of glue makes it look the same again. One night, as she slept beside me, I stared at the ceiling, thinking about how much I missed the version of us that used to exist. The laughter, the easy comfort. But grief is cruel. It doesn't tell you when to let go. So I did the only thing left that made sense. I got up quietly, packed a small bag, and left a note on the nightstand. I believe you're sorry. But I can't stay where love became a secret. When she woke, I was gone. A year later, I saw her by chance at a cafe. She looked different, calmer, maybe older. She smiled when she saw me, a soft, uncertain smile. Daniel, she said gently. You look happy. He nodded. I am. We talked for a while. No anger, no bitterness. Just two people who once shared a life. As we said goodbye, she hesitated, eyes glistening. I never stopped loving you, she whispered. I smiled faintly. Maybe that's the problem. You loved me, but not enough to stay when it mattered. She nodded, tears threatening again, and I walked away. This time I didn't look back. Because sometimes, closure doesn't come from confrontation. It comes from finally being able to say nothing at all. And that night I caught her, standing there in her silver dress. All I'd said was, "Good luck on your date." I didn't need to say anything else. She already knew everything.